G'day, my name is Neil Swan and this is a short video about Memrise and language learning applications in general for use predominantly on portable smart devices. This video is not a product video, so the GUI design, pedagogical methodologies and underlying scientific principles of learning used in Memrise will not be discussed in any meaningful level of detail. Instead, today's focus will be to consider Memrise specifically, but also other language learning apps generally, in the context of the relationship between people and technology as it pertains to mental well-being. So while the consensus among language teachers and linguists is that language learning apps are supplemental learning aids with limited utility, their utility extends to an area that is not widely recognised: mental well-being. During the mid-20th century, social psychologists began to study what motivates people to encourage and engage with technology, instead of only considering the outcomes of the technology. This line of inquiry produced, among other theories and frameworks, Uses and Gratification theory, UGT. The underlying principles of UGT perceive technology users as agents actively pursuing distinct gratifications as a consequence of distinct uses of various types of technology. Although UGT has been criticised in the past, its predictive power has been demonstrated, and its productivity is a framework for better understanding our relationships with many kinds of new and emerging technologies. So first, a couple of definitions just to establish some common understanding. There are two categories of motivation that can be used to distinguish the gratification that users are pursuing: instrumental motivation and habitual motivation. A habitual motivation is when the user operates technology as a matter of course. So, for the context of smartphone technology, this would include passive use of social media or routine contact with other people. Studies have shown that habitually motivated users associate their own habitually motivated behaviour with behaviours that are mostly undesirable, and that they not only formed a sense of loss of autonomy, like they were not in control of their actions and that their body was on autopilot, but they also experienced negative impacts to their subjective well-being as a result of not being productive with the time spent engaging in habitually motivated smartphone use. Instrumental motivation is when the user operates technology with a dedicated intent to achieve a specific outcome, which is a corollary definition with the instrumental motivation associated with second language acquisition that was identified by Gardner and Lambert in 1959 as the intent for learning a second language being one of a utilitarian nature. So for the context of smartphone technology, this would include activities like using a language learning app to achieve a practical end, such as in conjunction with traditional language classes to pass a course and gain an accreditation. It would also include communication with other people that were motivated by specific intent, and even just for the sense of self-improvement. In contrast with habitually motivated technology use, instrumentally motivated users have been demonstrated to be positively related to subjective well-being. A study in 2018 differentiated use types 6 ways. Number 1, productivity. This is achieving goals or perceived self-improvement. Number 2, information. This is an action where you're acquiring information. Number 3, communication. This is essentially interacting with other people. Number 4 is entertainment. That's pretty straightforward. Streaming and things like that. Streaming content. Number 5 is social media. And this is actually specific use of social media. It's passive social media use. So it's just flicking through your feed and you may like something, but you don't actually engage with anybody. And number 6, not sure. And that's pretty much any other technology interaction that doesn't fit into any of the other 5 categories. So when asked to rate the meaningfulness of their technology uses, participants' ratings indicated that productive and communicative uses were primarily perceived as meaningful experiences, while the opposite was true for entertainment and social media experiences. Participants used words such as mindless to describe uses and wasting time to describe non-interactional social media uses of their smartphones. The study revealed that both the types of use and the motivation behind the use independently predicted the degree of meaning that the participant extracted from their technological experiences. So the relationship between habitually motivated technology use and meaninglessness was consistent across all use types, even for productive and communicative uses that became routine. That is to suggest that if typically instrumental uses become wholly integrated into more extensive behavioural routines where the original intent is essentially lost, those experiences seem to lose their individual meanings and no longer positively affect the user's subjective well-being. So, although language learning apps like Memrise are limited as to their potential for teaching a second language, they still perform a novel teaching and learning role for language learners by regulating motivation and boosting lexical acquisition. The evidence suggests that language learning apps create a productive way to gain a new skill and improve mental well-being by adding meaning and productivity to otherwise habitual technology use. This is perhaps even more important in the context of a growing body of evidence that habitual technology use, such as social media, is damaging to well-being for everyone. And, as some longitudinal generational data shows, excessive habitual screen time with the current iteration of technology, smartphones and tablet devices, is significantly correlated with increased rates of depression and suicidal ideation, mainly in adolescence. In the case of Memrise, it has an increased market presence due to its community content design focus that allows it to be used for learning more than just languages. This also means that it can potentially improve the mental well-being of a much broader segment of the app-using population than just those interested in learning a new language. So when we think about language learning apps, we should try to remember not to expect them to be a panacea for learning a second language. They are a modern, novel addition to established learning methods. They are a simple and often free way to improve the type of relationship we have with the technology we use all of the time, acquire a new skill and knowledge, and improve mental well-being. However, the reality is that learning a new language requires patience, humility, and conscientious commitment over long periods. Smash like if you liked or found this video interesting, and give it a thumbs down if it wasn't to your liking. Feel free to leave comments and tell me your opinion on language learning apps. Supportive and critical comments are both welcome. Thank you.